Hello and welcome to Cooking with Kieran. Today I'm making marinated pork and rice noodles. I'm going to marinate my meat in a tablespoon of light soy sauce, a tablespoon of Mirin, a teaspoon of chili oil, 3 centimeters of root ginger and 2 cloves of crushed garlic. I'm going to need 200 grams of pork fillet, 90 grams of rice noodles, 3 spring onions, 100 grams of baby spinach, a small bunch of coriander, 100 milliliters of chicken stock from a quarter of a stock cube, a teaspoon of cornflour and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So the first thing you need to do is get your marinade ready. So crush your garlic, grate your ginger, add your sauces and add your meat. So crush your garlic. I'm just chopping the ends off the cloves of garlic. I'm going to push down the back of my knife to loosen the skin and then peel the skin off. Now that I've peeled my garlic, I'm going to crush it. So I'm crushing it with a knife by cutting it finely first, and then I'm going to press down with the edge of my blade and sort of scrape away at it. That turns it into mush. This is okay to do if you've got 1 clove of garlic, not take too long, but in the video here it's taken me quite some time. It's going to take me like over 2 minutes to crush 2 cloves of garlic. If you use a garlic crusher, it's taking you 10 seconds to do both of them. So use a garlic crusher and you'll be eating much sooner. Okay, so I've crushed my garlic now. I'm just going to rinse my knife. And then I'm going to get my ginger. I'm only rinsed the knife because I want to chop ginger in half and put some back in the fridge. So I obviously don't want to do that with a knife that's got garlic on it. So I don't want my ginger tasting of garlic. So peel your ginger. Again, I'm using about 3 centimeters of ginger. It's not too thick. I'm not being too careful when I peel it. I'm just chopping the skin off using a knife. You can use a vegetable peeler if you want. And once your ginger is peeled, you need to grate it. So I'm using the thin side of a grater. So ginger is grated. I'm going to put it into my bowl for my marinade. I'm also going to put my garlic in as well. And now I'm going to prepare my meat. Here I have half of a pork fillet, which is about 200 grams, which will feed 2 people plus a child easily enough. Pat it dry with a kitchen roll. Not necessary to do that, but I like to. And then you'll notice pork fillet will come with fat around the outside of it, so you want to chop that off. This dish, you're going to slice the meat before you put it into the pan to cook it, and then you want to be able to pick up the meat and put it into your mouth just with a pair of chopsticks without having to cut fat off the side. So I'll just slice that off first. So this would be easier if you have a sharper knife, but I try not to keep my knife too sharp with small children in the house in case they get a hold of it. But it will be easier if you have a sharper knife. So you don't need to be too careful, you don't need to get all of it off, but it does help if you get a lot of it off. You know, just pull it out, the fat out with your hands, and then trim it with the knife, like the sharp part of the knife. You can just go down in strips and gradually pull it off. You're trying not to lose too much of the meat when you're doing it. It may seem like a bit of a pain, but it's much more pleasant if you take it off now as opposed to cooking with it on. An alternative way to do this would be to slice the meat first and then take the fat off just each of the individual slices. Okay, so now I'm going to slice my meat. You can see I'm cutting it in sort of 1 centimeter thick slices. It's not too thick. And again, if you were to cut these first, you could maybe trim the fat around the outside after you've cut them. In this case, it might be easier because it took a while to trim the fat of this bit of pork fillet. It doesn't normally take me that length of time to do, however. I've just been careful at the end of this bit of meat because there is still quite a lot of fat on it, so I'm just trimming it off the last couple of bits as I've sliced them. And then some of the bits of fat which you've missed in the other slices, chopping off as well. Now I add my meat into my bowl for my marinade, wash my hands. So I've got chili oil, using stuff that I've bought, but you can also just add chili oil by getting chili and putting chili in regular oil. So I've put in a teaspoon of chili oil, then light soy sauce. I'm putting in a tablespoon. And I'm also putting in a tablespoon of Mirin. That's it for my marinade. So now I'm just going to mix it up with my hand, move it around, massage it all into the meat, give it a good massage, and helps the flavors infuse better, get well mixed up. I'm just pushing down any bits of garlic that are stuck to the side of the bowl, and then I'm going to wash my hands. Marinate your meat for about 30 minutes. You can leave it longer if you want. At the same time, if you don't have 30 minutes, just leave it till you prepare the rest of your food and throw it into the pan. It won't taste as good, but it's still going to taste nice, and it's better than having frozen food out of the oven, a ready meal or whatever. Next, I'm preparing my spring onions, so I'm just going to trim the end leaves off and also chop the bottom off, also take off the outer leaves. Then give them a rinse. And now I'm slicing them into thin strips, maybe 2 or 3 centimeters wide. And now I'm getting my coriander ready. So a small bunch of coriander. I don't take too much coriander in the dish, but you can adjust the flavour levels yourself depending on what you like. So you can see, sort of small handful, not too much. I'm going to give it a rinse as well under the sink. And then I'm going to chop it up. Just roughly chopped is fine, you don't need it really small. I've just switched my kettle on now to boil the kettle to make my rice noodles. Rice noodles, you just submerge them in water, boiling water, in a bowl for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Read your packet and do whatever it tells you in the packet of the brand that you've bought, and then when you've done that, left them for the length of time that's required, put them into a colander and just rinse them under cold water to stop them cooking anymore. So when my kettle is boiling, I've turned on my hob, put the wok on the hob to get ready. Take my spinach out of the fridge as well, because I'll need it shortly. And then I'm going to tidy up, just move some stuff out of the way. This dish cooks really quickly once you've got your prep work done. It took me longer to crush the garlic and cut the pork than it should have done, but the actual cooking doesn't take long at all. So I'm using 2 nests of rice noodles. You'll notice I've put them in a small bowl and I'm going to cover them with water. Don't do that. Use a big bowl, because in 2 minutes time, when you come to lift the bowl over and empty the boiling water out, it's easier if you've got a bigger bowl and you're not having to be careful not to scald yourself. So don't do what I done. Use a big bowl. So you want to take your meat out and reserve your marinade. So I just left them out one bit at a time, drain them off as I'm doing that, and put them into a separate bowl before I start. Just wash my hands again because I've been touching the raw meat. going to use vegetable oil. I use Mazola, it's corn oil. So heat your wok. I like to put my wok to a high heat first until I add my food, and then I'll turn it down a bit later. So let your pan heat before you add your oil. It shouldn't take too long. So when the pan's getting really hot, I'm just going to drain my noodles. And again, I'm going to rinse them under cold water to stop them cooking anymore. So I just set my noodles aside in the bowl. They've been rinsed and they're cool and aren't cooking anymore. And then I'm going to add my oil, 2 tablespoons, to my wok. Pan's really hot at this stage. You just turn it down a little bit, so it'll be fine. It should be well heated. And then I'm just going to add my meat. So if your wok has been hot enough and your oil's been hot enough, you'll hear the pan start to sizzle quite a lot when you add your meat. That's what you're looking for. And then just give it a good stir. You want to seal the meat. Make sure you flip it over and get both sides of the meat. So as the meat's sealing and cooking through, I'm just going to start doing a couple of small bits of tidying up. Wash my bowl that I had the meat in. You'll see the meat's still not completely sealed on both sides. I'm just turning that over and make sure that it's sealed and it's continuing to cook. Because they're only a centimetre thick, it'll not take too long to cook. And you're trying to not dry the meat out too much. You don't want it to be like really dry. Now that your meat's been on for a couple of minutes or more, check it, just make sure that it's coming along nicely, it's getting browned, it's getting sealed. You don't have any bits of raw pork still sitting. Then I'm boiling my kettle again. I'm going to use 100 milliliters of chicken stock in this dish. So to do that, I take a quarter of a good quality stock cube. I use Callow organic stock cubes. They're quite nice. So just a quarter of the stock cube. Throw it into the dish that you're using and add 100 milliliters of water. Give it a stir, and that's you. So I'm happy enough. My pork's mostly cooked. I'm going to add my spring onion and my coriander. Get my chicken stock ready. Push it to the side. I'm now adding any marinade that I had left over as well. So if you have any marinade left over in your bowl that you've been able to reserve when you're straining your meat, throw it into the pan too. And add your spinach, or pak choy works as well, it's quite nice. Or add your baby spinach, about 100 grams for 2 people, but you can add more or less depending on what you prefer. Give it a stir around. You want to start the vegetables wilting. You want the spinach to start to wilt, and you don't want it on too long either. You don't want it to turn to like complete mush. So when it's simmering away, take out some corn flour. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of corn flour. I'm going to mix some of the chicken stock, just the same again, maybe about another teaspoon's worth, with your corn flour. Give it a good stir, scraping it up off the bottom of your dish so that it forms a paste. Pour it into my wok, add in the chicken stock also, and then give it a bit of a stir around. The corn flour will start to make the chicken stock go thick, sort of thick and syrupy as it boils. So about a minute or so here should be all that you need. Just make sure it's well mixed up. So again, I'm just going to do some more tidying up when I'm waiting for the stock to thicken in the pan. The corn flour will thicken that up nicely, so if it's just left on the heat to boil, it gives me time to tidy some stuff up. So I'm just adding my noodles. Going to mix them up, make sure they get coated nicely in the sauce that's in the wok and mixed up with your meat and your vegetables. I like to pull my noodles apart a bit at this stage, just lift them up and let them fall apart so that they're not too tangled. You don't need to do this, I've just been fussy. I'm just pulling apart here a bit of pork with my chopsticks to make sure it's cooked in the middle. I've picked the thick part just to be sure, and then I'll check another thick piece as well to make sure that it's fully cooked, and then if it's cooked the whole way through, I'll be happy enough to go ahead and eat it. So this dish is taking closer to 30 minutes to cook. You can do it much quicker, but I was taking my time and getting things ready. But you'll notice that it has taken me 30 minutes, but I've been able to clean the kitchen as I went as well. You know, there's a lot of time that you're waiting for things, so you can just make time back by tidying up as you go and having your kitchen clean before you actually start to eat your dinner. All you're going to be left to wash is a wok and whatever you're eating off. So it doesn't look great, you see, in the pan. It looks a bit weird, doesn't look the most appetizing food in the world, but it's got a really nice taste. So I'm just going to put noodles out onto the plates and then serve. I haven't heated these plates. You probably should just put some boiling water from your kettle onto the plate, leave it for 10-20 seconds, then pour it into the sink and dry it with your tea towel before serving, and then you'll be done. So 27 minutes, taking my time, and it's ready. I'm just putting it onto the plates to eat. What I haven't done in this video is add salt or pepper at the end, but you should really just taste a bit of the noodle or a bit of the pork at the end before you take the food out of the pan, and just add some extra salt or pepper if you think it needs some different seasoning. You'll notice the pan's still quite wet as well from the stock. You do get a bit of liquid left. I like just to pour a little bit of it over sometimes to the noodles. And there you go, marinated pork and rice noodles within 30 minutes.